So, a fresh new week has arrived, and here on this channel, that means one thing and one thing only. I usually post these on the weekend, but we're here now, and in this series we do called Your Take Not Mine, I turn to you, the viewers, to give me your hottest NBA takes of the week, based on what's going on at the time, and I then choose my favorite submissions and discuss them in a video. This week, we saw some chaos go down on the court, resulting in a notable player getting suspended, more big matchups played out, and shocking outcomes have been a regular occurrence. So we definitely have plenty to discuss. In order to submit your takes, I make a community post on either the day of or the day before the video, similar to the one that you see on your screen now. So if you want a chance to be featured in a future episode, be sure to stay on the lookout for that. Before we start though, I want to thank PrizePicks for sponsoring today's video. PrizePicks is a skill-based, real-money daily fantasy sports game where you select 2 to 6 players and guess if they will hit more or less than their projection, and if you get it right, you can win up to 25 times your original entry. Obviously, we're all basketball fans here, but PrizePicks has almost every sport you can think of available to choose from and play. To add to the fun, they also offer frequent bonuses, discounts, and weekly promotions such as Taco Tuesday and Flex Friday, plus so many more specialty free spaces to watch for throughout the year, so you don't want to miss those. I personally will be playing Joel Embiid to score over 34.5 points, Kobe White to score over 22.5 points, and then I'll also be taking the Kevin Durant Christmas free square that hits as long as he scores one single point. To sign up, go down to the link in the description and use promo code REFERENCE when you sign up to get a deposit match bonus of up to $100. Once again, thank you to PrizePicks for sponsoring the video. Now let's get back to the topic at hand. The first take we'll be discussing today comes to us from Truers, and he says that the Clippers have finally figured it out on both sides of the ball, and because of that, they are officially a top 3 team in the Western Conference moving forward. When the James Harden trade went down, the Clippers were expected to be no less than top 3 in the West, with all of the talent that they had put together. They then lost their first 6 games that Harden was in town for, and the panic alarm started to ring loudly. Their offense was a mess in that stretch. Everybody was struggling to adjust to the new roles that they found themselves in. There was a bit of a clash in terms of playstyle, and the takes that were flying around by fans and analysts alike were pretty extreme. Hell, I'm not afraid to admit that I had my fair share of doubts about this group at the time as well, and it's reasonable to feel that way about any team with title hopes that goes on a 6-game losing streak. However, ever since they managed to snap that losing streak, they have been absolutely rolling, winning 13 of their last 16 games, looking like a completely different group. What changed? Well, a few things. First off, they changed up the starting lineup, moving Russell Westbrook to the 6th-man role. One thing that I pointed out from the very beginning was that having Westbrook and Harden in the same backcourt was always going to be a struggle, and we saw that firsthand early on in the tenure. Allowing Westbrook to run the second unit, while also giving Harden the freedom to run the offense the majority of the time, has allowed Harden to develop better chemistry with Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, while also helping him get his confidence back without limiting him. Another big change that has helped them turn things around is just the way that Harden has approached the game. At the end of November, Harden was attempting just 12% of his shot attempts at the rim, which would have been far and away the lowest of his career. His inability to get to the rim was hurting his own production and the team around him. Since that point though, Harden's been taking about 23% of his shots at the rim, doubling that prior number, which is much closer to his typical average throughout the rest of his career. Ever since the Clippers snapped that 6-game losing streak, they've also ranked in the top 10 of the league, both offensively and defensively, ranking 8th on offense and 4th on defense in that span, so they get it done on both ends, and even though they're only in 6th place in the West standings right now, there's definitely a very strong argument that they'll be one of the 3 teams to fear the most when the Western Conference playoffs roll around. The next take we'll be discussing today comes to us from Zach, and he says that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is now the best guard in the entire league. We're starting to see a bit of a changing of the guard in the NBA this season, which may feel bittersweet to some. For the longest time, Steph Curry was the obvious answer to the question of who the best guard in the NBA is, and for a bit during James Harden's peak MVP caliber years, he was in the mix as well. Steph Curry is still going strong, and for good reason, is still the answer in the eyes of many, but you would be foolish to completely write off SGA's argument for the throne. Last year, the Thunder began their ascent out of the basement of the standings and proved that they were a young squad you need to take seriously on a nightly basis, and the groundwork was being laid for a potential contender in the making. The expectation coming into this season was for them to take another leap and establish themselves as a playoff team, and not only have they been doing that, but they've also been one of the best teams in the entire Western Conference, currently sitting in second place. SGA is the engine that makes this team go. He's an absolutely incredible scoring talent, and low-key, he should be firmly in the MVP race if he keeps this up. For the second consecutive year, he's scoring over 30 points per game, he's doing it while shooting the ball 54% from the field, and he's leading the NBA in steals per game too, getting it done on both ends of the floor, and he's doing it on one of the best teams in the league. Look, Steph Curry is still playing as well as he ever has, arguably, but the Warriors are a complete disaster right now, and the advantage in these type of debates typically goes to the guy that is doing it on a winning team. I understand if you still believe Curry holds the throne, but Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is coming hard to claim it. And finally, the last take we'll be discussing today comes to us from Bran, and he says that the 76ers don't need another star player this year. The 76ers are one of the biggest teams to watch as the trade deadline approaches because ever since they recouped some assets in return for James Harden from the Clippers trade, it's been no secret that their goal was to flip them for another impactful player in order to keep the team afloat in contention. They've been included in rumors involving guys like Zach LaVine, Donovan Mitchell, and Lauri Markkanen, amongst others, and I don't think anybody disagrees with the idea that those players would obviously help the Sixers team, but the concerns come in when you start to do a little bit of cost-benefit analysis, aka are they worth the price that you would have to pay in order to actually acquire them. All-star caliber players with multiple years left on their contracts come with hefty price tags for good reason, but for a Sixers team that has shown they can overachieve as currently constructed, I do agree with the idea of this take because they don't necessarily need an absolute home run of a deal to get them where they want to be, because there's a chance that they gut their roster too much in order to get one of those players, and it could end up stunting the development of budding star Tyrese Maxey while also holding them back overall. Reigning MVP Joel Embiid is playing the best basketball of his life, Tyrese Maxey seems like a lock to make his first All-Star team this season, and the role players know how to execute in their roles without trying to do too much. If they could get someone like OG Anunoby or even Alex Caruso, I think that would be much more worth it based on their needs and the assets that they actually have at their disposal to offer in a trade. And with that being said, that's all I have for you today. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below what you think about the takes discussed. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.